All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, June 11th. We got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, not so good. We go 2-2 and 1 from a win-loss perspective, but our 2 wins were the same play, just a half unit split. So realistically, it's like a 2-1 day. The Reds team total, that doesn't come through for us. And then the Phillies Cubs race to 3. For the plus money and how close we got to that one, I guess it was an okay look. They were tied 2-2, so next run wins type of thing. But ultimately, not the best day there. Again, a 2-2 day, but the 2 wins were smaller unit plays than the 2 losses. So not exactly the best day. I'm not going to fret about it. We were coming off of a 9-1 night the night before. I guess we were due for a little bit of, water finding its level. In terms of the ride of the day, the story doesn't get any better. Got to drop the womp there on my man Luke. Had Lance McCullers over 6.5 strikeouts for plus money. We have this tracked over on the ride of the day tracker, link down in the pinned comment. You can see right here. Unfortunately, McCullers comes close, but he does not come through with the 6, so with the 7 strikeouts, I guess. So this was a ride of the day loss. Shout out to Luke for the attempt. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD down in the comments. I jump aboard with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your plays. You get thrown on the tracker and you continue to get the shout outs in the video. If you do lose, unfortunately, you still get the shout out, but we got to drop the womp on you there in the video. So get those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. Another shout out to Luke. I think that was a good look, especially for the plus money there. But let's dive into today's slate, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below. Let's get rocking here. We got Pittsburgh taking on Miami. Bailey Falter on the mound here going up against Cal Quantrill. I will say Cal Quantrill's been a hell of a lot better than he was to start the season, and almost like Bailey Falter has gone the opposite. Now, he's still been really good. I think out of his last 5 starts, he has 3 with 0 earned, so Bailey Falter by no means has fallen off. But I do think that, Cal Quantrill could be competitive in this one. I don't mind the idea of this being low scoring throughout the first 5, so maybe a first 5 under lean. If Quantrill continues his success, which is 5 innings of 1 or 2 earned, and then Bailey Falter goes out there and pitches against a lineup that has been struggling to hit lefties, I don't necessarily mind the spot. So I lean first 500. I also look at Pittsburgh. I just think they're the better team overall. This Miami, their bats are just very sporadic, and at least what we've seen out of Pittsburgh is they'll give you 2 to 3 runs lately. I know I even said it in yesterday's video. You guys kind of clowned me in the comments being like, Pittsburgh's offense is getting better. Them scoring 3 runs is literally them being better than they were, a month ago or so. So I do think that, when it comes down to the bullpen and whatnot, there's going to be advantages for Pittsburgh late in the game. So first 500, probably my main lean here, and then potentially a look at Pittsburgh money line. Next up, the Phillies taking on the Cubs. This is a pretty interesting one. I mean, game 1, we had to sweat out that Phillies win, right? 4-3 as the finish. Game number 2, Cubs got off to the races. We talked about that race to 3 runs, but they didn't really look back, right? They ended up winning 8-4. Today we have Jesus Luzardo on the mound going up against Ben Brown, and I think an immediate gut reaction, one might think, oh my God, advantage Phillies, right? Ben Brown was kind of stinking it up in a sense, but he kind of returned to action there. I guess it was against Detroit, who has been struggling, but 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, just 2 earned in his last start. Going up against Jesus Luzardo, who really has not been fantastic, to say the least. His last couple starts, 3 1/3, 12 earned, 2 1/3, 8 earned. So Jesus Luzardo, who was fantastic to start the year up until, I guess May, now he's kind of struggling. So I don't think it's as easy as saying, oh, big pitching advantage, Jesus Luzardo is, the advantage side. I would say that, yes, I think Ben Brown still can let up a little bit. Both these bullpens are in somewhat of a shaky spot. So maybe an over or a Phillies team total over is what we'd probably end up taking a peek at. I don't mind the idea of the Cubs scoring some runs off Luzardo, though. The only concern I have is that he's actually been pretty fantastic against them in his career. 97 plate appearances against this current roster, 155 average against. Now, he does have a 12% walk rate compared to just a 20% K rate, so that's pretty good. But again, that 155 average against, you can't make up anything about that. That's pretty damn good. So maybe Phillies team total over 3.5 is something that we can lean towards here. That way we can just fade Ben Brown, back a Phillies offense that hopefully is starting to get things going and not have to worry about Luzardo pitching well or not. I think that would be kind of the hybridized version of what we're doing here. That's kind of back in the Phillies without taking the money line, and it's kind of back in the over without having to totally fade Luzardo. So it's kind of, a beat around the bush version of both the money line and the total. Real quick, guys. I know we're talking baseball, but let's talk about basketball for a second. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 0.5 points line over on Underdog. You can't get that anywhere else for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. That link to Underdog will be down in the description as well as the pinned comment. Go ahead and throw this into your entry. It's simply going to boost the payout. You know that Shai should get at least 1 point, right? Knock on wood. Even if he gets to the line and makes one of them, you're going to cash this square. So go ahead and check that out, guys. If you guys don't know what Underdog is and you like player props, you like picking higher or lower based on player set projections, that is the place to do it. It's really simple. I love the interface and the product that they offer. You can get more action in onto the game at the drop of a hat. It's really simple, guys. Just pick higher or lower on the set projections that they have, add them into the entry. The more you get correct, the more you get paid out. So go check it out. Again, that link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. You get this Shai square. You're also going to get a deposit bonus up to $1,000. Yes, 1,000. So go ahead and check that out. Again, link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. And I'll jump back into these games here. All right, we got Logan Allen and the Guardians taking on Nick Lodolo and the Reds. Pretty cut and dry still for me here. I mean, the Guardians cannot hit lefties, so I don't foresee myself taking the Guardians ever against lefties until further notice. I don't see why that thought process would be rational, right? Even yesterday would be the proof in the pudding. Slade Cecconi went out there, pitched well. The bullpen pitched well. The Reds only scored 1 run. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a win for the other team. The Guardians couldn't even get one. Andrew Abbott pitched fantastic. He went out there and pitched. Did he pitch a full game, if I'm not mistaken? So it's like they just can't hit lefties. Now, Nick Lodolo is not Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott has been fantastic, right? But Lodolo really hasn't been all that bad of a pitcher. I mean, he's been fantastic on the road, which 0.85 whip, a 2.33 FIP, batting average against of 195, 23% walk rate compared to a 23% K rate compared to a 4% walk rate. Pretty damn good. So I like the idea of a potential under in this spot, to be completely honest. I don't think Cincinnati's going to go out there and smack around a lefty either, and we've seen the woes that Cleveland has. So give me the under as well as a Cincinnati lean. The fact that we're still getting plus money on a side that has a lefty pitching against the Cleveland Guardians, sign me up right now. I will say that this Cincinnati team's now won 5 in a row. I do think that they're probably a team that fades at some point, right? And once their offense goes, usually they go. Maybe that was the first game in which we see their offense kind of trickle off. And this is obviously a sweep opportunity, so usually I'm not chomping at the bit, whatever the saying is, to play a sweep. So that probably keeps me off of it, but I do still think that Cleveland batting against lefties is a no-go for me right now. Player prop wise, I'd look at what we looked at yesterday. He didn't get the start, but Lane Thomas under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. For all of the same reasons, right? We're going to see a lefty before getting injured and coming back. He was batting just 111 against lefties. And Nick Lodolo against right-handed bats, 216 batting average against. So I think this could be a nice Lane Thomas play. And we're still getting good odds because obviously Lane Thomas is a good player. But, he's coming back from injury, only 1 game back since. I think this could be a decent spot to look at. Milwaukee taking on the Braves, and I hate to do it because I feel like we're getting greedy at this point, but I'm looking right at that first 5 under. We cashed it in game 1 of this series. We cashed it in game 2 of this series. Now, like I said, we're getting a little greedy and looking at it in game 3 again, but Chad Patrick on the bump going up against Spencer Schwellenbach. I like both the pitchers. Patrick has been really good, and Schwellenbach is really good. Even if we look at their pitch mixes here, we're going to get the fastball, cutter, slider from Schwellenbach, the splitters mixed in there as well, and then Chad Patrick's going to go cutter, fastball, cutter, fastball, and then sinker. I would say that those pitchers are very, very good as well against Atlanta. Neither one of these offense, to start games have been cruising. I mean, we saw Atlanta's offense come to life late in the game. In game one, they won 7-1, and the Milwaukee, not so much, right? I mean, that score was pretty damn similar to the first five as how it finished at 4-1. So I like the under first five in this one. You can get that for minus 130, mid minus 130s over on ProfitX, and it looks like, let's see, ProfitX, FanDuel, and ESPN, and MGM. So everywhere it's pretty much the same price. I'd play that up to like minus 140, minus 145 too. I do like the spot. My only concern is like we've cashed it over and over again. At some point, the dam's going to break, right? Hopefully not. We'll knock on wood there. So give me the first five under. If I had to pick a money line side here, I don't think it's too expensive to look at the Braves. Schwellenbach versus Patrick. I just think that there's a little bit of an advantage on the Schwelly side of things based on the seasons that they've had. But I'm starting to come around on this Patrick. I think that he's actually looked pretty good. And I remember we took the Brewers against one team that couldn't. It was a good team that couldn't hit cutters because this guy's got a fantastic cutter. And you know what? Worked out. So he's kind of making a believer out of me. I feel like I've said fantastic a million times already in today's video. If you guys are watching at this point, go ahead and comment fantastic down below. Seems like that's the vibe today. So give me the first 500 as well as the Braves. All right, we got the Cardinals taking on the Jays. Battle of the Birds. I'm surprised we haven't used that joke yet, but we've seen two wins from Toronto, two really sort of high-scoring games in which there's a lot of offense. 5-4, which you'd say, okay, that's a decent amount of offense, and then 10-9 yesterday. Looked like Toronto was going to run away with it, but the Cardinals make it interesting. They did score 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th and the bottom of the 9th combined. And then Toronto comes back and scores, or Toronto actually did score, I think, 2 in the 9th, so this did not go to extras. Don't hold me to that, but either way, St. Louis made it competitive at the end of the game. Today we have Liberatore on the mound going up against Eric Lauer. I still do believe, and we've gotten some flack in the comments for saying that this Toronto offense has become very, very legit. They've been very, very good against lefties. I think they're an offense that should probably come down a little bit and regress, but not to an extreme. Like, they're number 1 against lefties over the last 30 days, number 2 WRC+, striking out the least, walking the second most, number 1 in on base, 6th in ISO, 2nd in OPS, 3rd in slugging. Like, these are just numbers that I feel like they're a little bit elevated. I still think that they could be a top, 12 type team against lefties, but Liberatore has been very, very good at home, and this is a spot in which you could see if Toronto wins, it would be a sweep. I don't think that the St. Louis team gets swept at home. They've scored 4 and 9 runs in this series. I believe at some point, they've got to be able to pull out one of those. Taking a peek at the bullpens here. So Toronto's bullpen, Hoffman, he's gone 2 days in a row. Their closer, Yariel Rodriguez and Brendan Little, the setup men, they probably will be okay. They did not pitch yesterday, so Toronto's bullpen's okay outside of a closed situation. I will say St. Louis, their bullpen's in a decent spot as well, but Toronto's bullpen's definitely a better bullpen just in general. I might take the flyer here and take a peek at the Cardinals. The problem is the flyer is worth minus 130, so just to avoid a sweep, we'd be paying a pretty heavy tax. But that is the side that I'm going to look at. In terms of a total, I would say, kind of like what I'm just thinking about taking the Cardinals. I think this game's going to be opposite of what we've seen, so I'm going to lean towards the under 8.5. I believe in terms of our model, we have this at 8, right? Yeah, it's looks like we actually have it at about 4-4, so that would result in a 9 no matter what. But I'm still going to lean towards the under. This has just got some question marks in it for me. All right, Arizona taking on Seattle. All Arizona, all series so far. I know you could be like, oh, well, that first game went to extras. But, like, Arizona, that took 4 runs in the top of the 9th to tie that game. So I don't necessarily think that, Seattle was hanging in that game. They were down 4-0 heading into the 9th. Game number 2, they win 10-3. I think this is an Arizona offense that, if you're getting a price like you are right now at plus money, it's worth considering. The problem is Eduardo Rodriguez is on the mound. He ain't all that great. And this is a pretty tough Arizona bullpen in terms of backing them as of right now. So I do get it. You have a bunch of guys that are either being called up in place of some injured guys. That being said, Miller, Beeks, Thompson, some of their bigger arms are good to go today. So I don't mind Arizona, but again, it's kind of going back to what I keep saying, and you guys don't always like it in the comments, but I kind of stand by this rule. It's really hard to sweep a team in the MLB. This would be a 3-game sweep if we were to back Arizona, right? And I just simply don't love doing that. Arizona also has to play against. I think they may have the day off, but I'll have to double check that. But they have a series against the Padres coming up. Seattle has a series against Cleveland. So both these teams may not exactly be themselves in this one because Seattle just wants to get out of this series that they've been beat up on, right? And go play Cleveland. And that Arizona's thinking about playing a team that is, in the NL in the Padres. So it's a little wonky, but for plus money, I think I back the the Diamondbacks here. Maybe we could even kind of spin like an Arizona team total over. I could see that happening that way, even if, Eduardo Rodriguez sucks and the Mariners are able to score, we still get a little life out of these bats that have been pretty good. Now, Brian Wu, I feel like I haven't really focused on him, has been really good. So there is a big discrepancy between Rodriguez and Wu. But this Arizona offense just continues to get to pitchers, and especially when they are hot, right? Like they weren't all that great against Cincinnati, but now in this series, they've looked good. 8 runs and 10 runs scored. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to look at Arizona team total over in this one. And much like that Phillies game, it's kind of so we don't have to worry about, the starting pitcher doing great or not. Like Rodriguez could go out there and stink as long as it's a high-scoring game. I think Arizona gets theirs. Angels, Athletics, don't have too much interest in this one. Kyle Hendricks against JP Sears. I guess I would say Angels. I just think that they are the better ball club between these two, but it's not really saying all that much, right? JP Sears, I, for whatever reason, do kind of have this, I like JP Sears, if you watch him, does look good from time to time with the slider and when it's on, but he's still not a good pitcher, right? So I don't want to confuse myself being like, oh, that slider could work. But this is not a very good Angels team at hitting the slider. So maybe that's sort of an angle to go against. I mean, Kyle Hendricks on the other side of things is not all that great. He's going to throw the changeup and the sinker. So maybe that's your path to the A's. To me, I just do think that this is a much better offense on the LA side of things, but only when they're on the road. So they're at home here. Yes, maybe game 1 when they scored 7 runs, they look good, but they could have easily lost that game yesterday, right? Soriano went out there and pitched really, really well. He pitched fantastic, and that helped them win because Mitch Spence didn't even get hit up. I think the final score of that game was, 2-1, yeah. So it would be Angels for me, but I could see, you know what, screw it. Sound the psycho alert alarm. I don't know if I get there myself, but I'm flipping. I think that I think we could see JP Sears and the slider work today. I'm going to lean towards the Athletics. Plus, I'm looking at that price. That's kind of what's doing it for me. Plus 130 mid-must. Oh my God, that probably is. It's probably A's or nothing. I went back and forth, but like I said, this one's kind of confusing in terms of a total. I guess an over because one of these guys will probably get hit up. We don't know exactly who, but yeah, your guess is as good as mine in this one, and I apologize for that. But like I tell you guys all the time, I'm not gonna fake confidence for content. This game's a big old question mark. All right, well, San Diego bounced back yesterday after losing 8-7 in game 1. They win 11-1. Dylan Cease looked pretty damn good. Today, it looks like we're going to have Justin Robelski. I don't think that that's confirmed on the Dodgers side of things. And Randy Vasquez on the side for the Padres. I think this is another spot in which we could probably take a peek at an over. I don't think Randy Vasquez is going to go out there and absolutely get shelled, though. I really don't. I think Robelski has a better chance of having a kind of rough outing in a sense, depending on how many innings he's going to go. But this is still a Dodgers team that has the better offense, and for the money against their rival, I think the offense might show up with these two pitchers on the bump. In terms of what we have from the bullpen standpoint, San Diego's bullpen, they're finally starting to get into a better place, only using one arm yesterday. Thank you, Dylan Cease. And then the Dodgers, honestly, they might be okay. I mean, Yates and Scott both went 2 of the last 3, but didn't pitch yesterday. They just did the 2 days prior. But even like Scott, I don't know if you can fully trust that. So if we like the Dodgers, maybe it's just a team total over or the over in general, because this Dodgers team, I do think their offense will show up, but I don't know exactly what to expect from Robelski or anyone coming out of the bullpen. Even though they're getting a little bit more healthy, the bullpen still kind of scares me. You know what I mean? All right, Baltimore taking on Detroit. Detroit's plus money right now, and I wish that Baltimore won that game yesterday because I think we would be looking at Detroit money line here. But this is a potential sweep, which, yes, I'll stop saying it, but one more acknowledgement that I get that people don't like, that I like to avoid sweeps, or at least don't back them. It's just worked for me in the past. I mean, I'm not saying each and every game should be in a vacuum. The sweep factor doesn't matter, but you know what? I don't live in a vacuum. That I'll stand by that story. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Does this look like a vacuum? I will still lean towards the Tigers, though, and I do still think that they can get this done. We have Casey Mize against Zach Eflin. Even if you do want to call these pitchers a wash, which I think the pitch mix may favor Mize. If he goes split or sinker, which does make up a decent part of his portfolio from a pitch mix perspective, Baltimore shouldn't be able to hit him. They're 28th in both of those pitches. Even if you want to call this pitching matchup a wash, I think that this Detroit offense should be able to hit Eflin a little bit better than the opposite. Eflin has some good numbers against them in the past, so when I say good, I mean really good. But ultimately, he has been inconsistent, and I would say he's been inconsistent at home, right? And some of these lefties, whether it's Carpenter or Green in this lineup, that's what I'd worry about if I'm backing Baltimore, because he's really struggled against lefties this year. So I think it's going to be Detroit for me. The way that we might be able to get there is by saying, okay, Detroit, go score some runs, right? You're the underdog in this one. You can get over 3.5 for a decent price as of right now, -160. It's about as far as I'd pay, but we've already looked at that with, I think Arizona and also the Phillies. So -160 is looking like it's a price that we could pay today, but any further than that, I don't think so. So Detroit team total over is what I'd look at. I want to look at them on the money line, but I don't know if they sweep, especially with, being in Baltimore. All right, Red Sox taking on Tampa Bay. Giolito pitched well yesterday. They didn't really get to Pepio, but the Red Sox win 3-1. Today, Zach Littell's in the mound for Tampa Bay going up against Walker Buehler, and based on the odds here, so this isn't me being biased, just hear me out for a second. Littell versus Buehler and how they've been pitching, it should be a one-sided affair, right? Like, why would you ever think that Boston would be favored? That's kind of what's worrying me in terms of leaning towards Tampa Bay. I think Walker Buehler might actually have a decent outing after a couple bad ones. In terms of his pitch mix, he throws a bunch of stuff. All he has to do is focus on more of the off-speed stuff, and I do think that Tampa Bay can get tripped up. But throw in the fact that, you're going to see a ton of sliders from Littell. Boston hits the slider really, really well. 54 plate appearances against this current roster, Littell, right? A 270 expected batting average against, a WOBA of 377, expected WOBA, and an expected slugging of 564. So I don't think Littell's going to come in here and absolutely deal. Maybe that's why the Red Sox are favored in this one. It's not biased. I think I'm going to trust the line that we have and the odds that we have and lean towards the Red Sox. This seems like a weird spot where even the books are backing Walker Buehler by putting a minus next to their number. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you can get plus money for what most would consider the better bullpen, the better pitching, and then maybe even a comparable offense. There's something to be said about that. So I think that plus money for Tampa Bay is a trap. And I don't think I'm even being biased. I'm just saying, this should be a spot. If anything, I'm being the opposite of biased. This should be a spot in which I see Red Sox plus 110, right? We don't. I think that says something. If they were in Tampa, maybe it'd be different, but that's not even the true Tampa home, field. So, yeah, give me the Red Sox. I'll still lean towards the over because, like I said, I'm not crazy. I don't think that Walker Buehler is going to throw a gem. It's almost like the numbers are telling us that he might pitch fairly well because this Red Sox bullpen isn't even in that great of a situation. So this is a weird one to me, but I might be looking at Red Sox money line, kind of trusting that we're getting that -115, -110 odds. I don't know. Maybe it's crazy. To put this in perspective and talk about a couple player props too, Zach Littell's earned run line today is 3.5. Like, that's weird. You know what I mean? Like, something's telling these algorithms that the Red Sox are going to score some runs today because Walker Buehler's under earned runs is like the same price, and it's 2.5 compared to Zach Littell's 3.5. So, yeah, Red Sox might be the play just because we're kind of beating around the bush there. In terms of some player props, though, Misner, I don't mind his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I also don't mind, where was it? We just had one. Oh, Danny Jansen under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs either. He doesn't hit righties all that well. He's going to get the fastball, the slider, the cutter. The slider should be a really good pitch for Walker Buehler today against him because Danny Jansen does not hit that all that well either. Mets taking on Washington. Now, I can't really victory lap a Washington spot here because they ended up losing. But I was kind of getting ready to come on here and be like, see, this Mets team against lefties, not all that great. Mackenzie Gore did well. Today, probably a little bit of a different story. Jake Irvin versus David Peterson. David Peterson probably in the driver's seat of this one. Give me the Mets in this spot. They are super, super juiced, but maybe some sort of a parlay piece throw-in or something like that. Having a tough time getting to the Nats today. Yesterday, it was a lot easier, right? They weren't going up against a lefty. They had one of the better lefty pitchers on the mound, and they looked good for the majority of that game. So the proof is in the pudding. I don't know if we see that today. You have the dead last team against lefties in terms of average over the last 30 days, 30th in on-base percentage. David Peterson's pitch mix should be good in this spot as well. He's really good against lefties, and there is a lot of lefties in this lineup, natural lefties. So Mets all the way in this one. Better bullpen as well. In terms of the total, maybe we look at the Mets team total over. Not the full game over, though, because I do think that the Nationals struggle to score here. So why would we want to take the full game when I think the Mets are going to do the heavy lifting anyways? All right, KC taking on the Yanks. This is potentially another spot in which we just say, okay, well, the Yankees bats are just that much better, right? Yesterday we saw Noah Cameron, who's been really, really good on the mound. I don't think that he went out there and really stunk, but he kind of did. I think it was 6 earned on. It was only 6 or 7 hits. Which is comparable to some of his better starts overall, but again, they just capitalize on the hits that they did end up getting. So it's tough to look at this spot and be like, wow, Yankees for that price, why wouldn't we, right? They are the better team. This Yankee squad has looked good against, pretty much any good pitcher so far this year at different times. Noah Cameron being an example. Now they have Bubic on the mound, who's to say they don't go out there and do exactly what they did to Cameron against Bubic, who does have 55 plate appearances against them, 313 average against, 11% walk rate, so expected slugging of 452. I don't necessarily want to say I think he could shut them down. Even his pitch mix, he's going to throw a lot of sliders. Well, they crush that. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs. They crush that. Changeups, they crush that. You flip it over to Clark Schmidt, though, and I will say this is where it gets interesting because I think the Yankees offense, that's what we talked about. They should be able to hit them. That's why I think the Yankees probably are the play here. I don't mind the idea of an over, given the fact that we're going to see a ton of, in fact, I'll just show you in our dashboard. I'll explain how to get access to our dashboard right after we go through this game, but essentially you can get this dashboard that gives you all the stats you need to see each and every game and day for a game. Each and every day for every game. Say that 10 times quick. But check this out. Look at all of these cutters, right? 45+% cutters is what we'll see from Clark Schmidt today. Would you look at this? Kansas City's offense been a little dicey so far this year, but how about being the number 1 team at hitting the cutter over the last 30 days from a runs above average standpoint? Salvador Perez, Pasquantino, 2 big bats in that lineup, runs above average individually, 9.3 and 7.3. That looks pretty damn good. So I do think that there is an opportunity for the Royals to maybe put up a decent number. So I'm going to say Yankees money line, but I don't think that I'm going to shy away from a potential over 8.5 in this spot. The bullpens, Yankees should be good to go, and then the Royals also should be good to go. But these are kind of, if you ask me, middling bullpens in general. So, yeah, the Yankees did most of the damage yesterday, but I don't even care if they do that again today. They'd hit this over alone. And it looks like we're going to have some really nice weather there in Kansas City. So, don't mind this spot. I think we have this pegged for 9 runs, but I don't think that's accounting as much for the cutter as we'd like to within our model. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, give me the over as well as the Yankees. Getting access to that dashboard is super simple, super cheap. GuyBostonSports.com, our website. That's also where we house the final plays. Once this video is up, you'll see a post on the site as well. But GuyBostonSports.com, head over to the members area. This looks a little bit different on obviously mobile, but it's still the same idea. MLB dashboard under the members area. Now, I'm already logged in, so I will see the dashboard. You can open up the dashboard each and every day, and you get each and every game broken out in a visual format. Pitcher data, batter data, actual individual player batter data. We've even implemented weather now pulling into this. So you get temperature and chance of precipitation. I also want to add humidity and that type of stuff in, wind, but that's to come. This little part of the dashboard that we just added actually took forever to do. It was a request in the Discord a long time ago, and we worked to do it. So yeah, check this out, guys. This is not something that you're going to come in and be like, oh, I know exactly what to do right away. This will take some time to sink your teeth into and understand what you're looking for, but pretty much easy example would be, okay, we look at the pitchers. A lot more green for Nick Lodolo. Okay, pitching advantage towards Cincinnati. You come over here. Well, it looks like, not necessarily against lefties, but overall, Cincinnati may have an offensive advantage. You have the bullpens down here. So there is easy ways, just color coding wise, to pick up on things, but this is a lot of information. I get that. So you're going to have to spend some time with it. So I'm not blowing smoke up your ass saying, hey, this thing's going to win you right away. No, this is just a consolidation and a bunch of imports of data so you have a one-stop shop. You don't have to go to a bunch of different websites. But, in terms of you understanding it and knowing what it's saying, you have to wine and dine it a little bit. But if you guys do not have access to this dashboard, I'll set this to a view with a logged out version. You'll click it. It's going to say membership required. Memberships are super cheap here for now over on the site. $5 or less than $4.99 for the MLB dashboard. You want all sports, and you get each and every dashboard that we put out for all of the sports. As long as your subscription's active, you'll stay at this price as well. $6.99 per month. So consider that, guys. GuyBostonSports.com. Go ahead and check out the dashboard. I built this for myself. I tell you guys all the time, I literally built it for myself so I could have a more efficient process when it comes to researching games. So yeah, we bring it to you guys now. GuyBostonSports.com. All right, Minnesota taking on Tejas. In terms of the pitchers here, just lost my screen. I believe it's Festa versus Leiter. I don't know what to make of either one of these pitchers. I would say Jack Leiter has the advantage, right? But this Texas lineup certainly doesn't. And Texas coming off of the game from yesterday kind of points me in the direction of Minnesota getting their get back. Like this Texas lineup, for as bad as they are, we've seen them have some big run games, right? Like they scored 11 against St. Louis. Guess what they scored next game? Goose egg. They scored 8 runs against St. Louis. Guess what they did next game against Tampa Bay? 1 run. So they scored 16 yesterday. I can't imagine that they go out there and do something similar today. The price is a little tough, too, to swallow there at minus 140-ish for Minnesota, but I'm going to trust that. I do think that their bullpen should be okay here, and their bats against Leiter could be all right as well. They're going to see a lot of fastballs and the sinker. Number 3 against fastball last 30 days, number 1 against the sinker. Here's an example of the dashboard. You could see fastball, sinker making up 50% of the pitch mix. Boom, Minnesota hits it, Minnesota hits it. Even coming down here, you can see most of the guys in the lineup hit the sinker. Most guys in the lineup hit the fastball as well from a runs above average perspective. So, yeah, I think this is a Minnesota spot. I just don't know about that price. In terms of the total, maybe we just look at Minnesota team total over. Because if I think that they're going to hit, do we really, really, really want to sit there and be like, David Festa, you know, you're the best? I don't think that, so I don't want to put my money where my mouth is there. Maybe we just take a peek at them scoring some runs here and we get their team total over. That's probably going to be more expensive, but at least we kind of exclude David Festa in that sense. I don't know. We'll see how juicy it is. Houston taking on the White Sox. We got Gusto on the mound going up against Sean Burke. Sean Burke's kind of coming around, right? Like, this is a guy, and I can't keep repeating myself because I say this every time he starts, but a guy that we really liked and backed in the beginning of the year and kind of got hit up. Now he's got a 2-flat ERA pitching into the 6th inning over his last 5 starts. Gusto, I don't think, is all that tremendous. It's not enough for me to back the White Sox, especially after them winning yesterday 4-2. So this is probably a Houston bounce back spot, especially with them at home. I just don't necessarily know if this is going to be a massively high scoring game. I think Sean Burke might be able to kind of keep this one in the ballpark and whatnot. So maybe it's a first 5 under. Maybe it's a full game under, but I do think Houston ultimately pulls this one out. It's just a matter of, what do we do? First 5 run line, but then we're directly fading Burke, backing Gusto. A little tough, right? So I think I'm going to look at the unders in this game. That's probably the only thing that I feel totally comfortable with right away at this moment. I want to say let me check real quick to make sure. I think we had a player prop in this one. We had a couple. All right, so these are I still want to dig into these, but we do have, I believe it is 3 player props on a short list right now. First one, so we'll go through them quickly. Christian Walker, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Actually, his might be bases. Yeah, under bases, just because of the trend. He's done this hit the under in 9 of his last 10. Sean Burke, however, against the righty bats, not exactly the best, and the pitch mix for Walker could be okay with the fastball. So maybe that's a maybe as of right now. Next up is going to be Joshua Palacios, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I like him against Gusto to not do all that well. We're going to see the cutter and the curve. Both those pitches should be pretty good from Gusto against him. Mainly that curveball, because the cutter, I think he only throws like 15% of the time. Next, we got Paredes here. We're kind of going team back and forth, team to team. He's been trending in a direction of the under, right? 4 straight games here, which he's gone under 1.5 total bases. Now, he's going to see a lot of sliders out of Sean Burke. Sean Burke's got a very good slider and a good curve. Those are 2 pitches that he's really bad against. He's very good against the fastball. These are why these are maybes. You see what I mean? There's like every 2 steps forward we take 1 step back with some of the data. Next, we have Victor Caratini, who I think could be a potential look here. We're going to see him struggle against the fastball. That's great. He also struggles against right-handed bats. And Sean Burke, I already mentioned, struggles against right-handed bats. Pretty damn good against left-handed bats. So I like the spot here. The fastball is going to be the pitch that we like. And what I like about Caratini, even with the slider, which he does hit the slider well, the fact that he hits the slider well when it's up in the zone, great. Sean Burke likes to throw that to left-handed bats down and inside. So this could be a nice little spot for us to take an under here. Right now you're getting minus 134 there. So yeah, I'm liking the idea of probably him out of the names we've talked about so far, maybe the most. And I'm kind of going through this as you are too. And then the last one, this is just a fade of a guy that is good, and we're going to get good, numbers and all that stuff. But Luis Robert Jr. under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Yes, he had a really good game yesterday in which he had a home run, but prior to that, he really hasn't been doing much. So it's kind of a fade of recent results. I would still say Caratini, out of all the ones we talked about, probably going to be the one that, if we do roll with something, it's one of those. But I figured because we went through the game quick, we can kind of go through our short list of potential player props there. And notice that they're all unders. We are still rocking with unders, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're closing it out with a meh type of a game. You know what I mean? We got Colorado taking on San Francisco here. On the mound for Colorado is going to be Kyle Freeland against Robbie Ray. So yesterday's game ended up going, was it 6-5? So it did hit that under, right? It actually closed at 11, so it was a push, but 11.5 for a lot of the day. I don't mind the idea of something similar today where it stays under that number, but now we're at 10. So I think what we have here is a potential look at a first 5 under. Even yesterday, what was that through the first 5? I think it was, I want to say they scored like 6 runs late, right? So was it 5 runs through the first 5? Do I have that right? That could be something that we pivot to today. I think Robbie Ray is in a good spot, no kidding, right? And even Kyle Freeland is one of those guys that I do think is like probably the most respectable pitcher here on the Colorado side of things. So as long as these guys are kind of in at least any sort of a groove, we should be good. And the good thing is neither one of these teams hit fastballs well. That's the pitch that you want to throw if you are in Colorado, because it's not going to hurt you as much as, I guess, some of the off-speed pitches when it comes to the elevation and whatnot. So yeah, if we can go out there and get Kyle Freeland's fastball moving, and Robbie Ray, we know he's going to throw a lot of the fastball, and then he'll go to the slider, I think we should be good. So give me the first 5 under. I know it's kind of funny that I joke about how this is a dud of a game, and then we do have a final play on it, but it's kind of a final play based on the fact that it is what I'd consider a dud of a game. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that this is going to be a game in which both teams kind of struggle offensively, at least against the starting pitching. Yeah, I'm giving Kyle Freeland a lot of credit, but I think Kyle Freeland's actually got some good numbers behind him, and I think it's a good offense to go up against. So yeah, first 5 under. Obviously, San Francisco's probably the side that we look at, though. In terms of that, guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, give this video a like. Really do appreciate all the support. No rant needed. I hope you guys do feel that, at least through the camera, that I appreciate everyone. If you're watching this right now, like, I mean it too. And I know it's easier said than done and all that, but there's a reason why I show up to work every single day, right? Even on vacation, on weekends. I love doing this, and you guys are the humans on the other side. This is not just me to a camera or me to an algorithm. You guys are the humans on the other side that kind of put me in this situation. So really do appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.